That story is not an autobiographical story. It's a story of myself and my daughter and everyone around us at that time. I'm going to go on to something a little bit lighter. I apologize for the parts that those who do not have the privilege of speaking Spanish or unable to understand. It was a conversation between the father and the mother, and they were arguing about whether or not the child was crazy. And then there was an argument between the mother and the grandmother. And the grandmother believes in Catholicism and that the church heals everything, so she insisted that she should allow the mother to take Esperanza to the church to have holy water thrown on her because that would be the cure to what ailed her. And it obviously was not. Thank you so much for that. This next piece that I'm going to read is a short story. It's called Gatos con cinco patas, cats with 5 paws, or cats with 5 legs. There's a few lines in here that are also in Spanish, but I'm hoping that you'll understand what they mean in the description. ¿Te acuerdas que te dije que nunca te cases con un mexicano? My daddy asked, the wrinkles in his face becoming more prominent as his lips began to curve into a smile. Yes, Daddy. I remember when you told me never to marry a Mexican. ¿Por qué me preguntan? I replied. Although I remembered all my life being told never to marry a Mexican, I hoped my daddy would understand why I loved Alexander and was curious why he needed to know if I remembered his advice. Pues qué le ves? He asked, wondering what I saw in the man I just announced I eloped with. I knew that question would surface. I knew my dad would want to know why this man deserved his youngest daughter, even after all the warnings he and my brothers gave me. I began to list his qualities, feeling as though I was filling in his outline profile for Match.com. Master's degree in philosophy, loves dogs, enjoys nature, and looks forward to trips to the motherland. My daddy was in the middle of chopping onions as I was explaining his qualities to him. Clack, clack, clack. I heard the sound of his knife. He must have thought that the faster he chopped, the less I could be heard over the sound of his knife pounding on the cutting board. I stopped talking and watched his worn hands as I methodically worked at making more clacking sounds. When he realized I wasn't speaking anymore, he looked at me and shouted, Pues qué esperas? Ya vete. That was his signature dismissive statement to me, telling me to leave because there was nothing left to say. As I turned around to leave the kitchen, I hear him say under his breath, but in a purposely loud way to make sure that I could hear him. You all know how that goes, right? Pronto te vas a dar cuenta que el gato no tiene 5 patas. I spun around so fast that the movement shocked the two of us. I shouted, I don't know why you always say that to me. I hate cats. I know they don't have 5 feet, and I don't understand your Mexican idioms. And stormed out the door to drive home to Alexander. Some time passed and I found my world crashing down at my feet. The life I had planned in my head and in my heart was not the one I was living. Day by day I became unhappier and the people around me were beginning to notice. I found myself back in my parents' kitchen answering the same questions my daddy had asked me months earlier. Yes, Daddy. I do remember always hearing you say to me I should never marry a Mexican. I said to him after he asked me if I remembered his advice. I half expected him to say, I told you so, in that moment, and I welcomed it so I could finally admit defeat and have a good cry. ¿De qué le sirve tener educación y que le guste el aire libre si no sabe respetarlo? I couldn't answer my daddy when he asked me what good it was for him to have a degree and like the great outdoors if he couldn't even respect women. I had no answer. The same qualities I had used to sell the idea of Alexander to my daddy previously now sounded so absurd when he spoke them aloud. I stayed silent and watched his face turn from anger to empathy, his eyebrows raising as his eyes opened wider. Entonces, ¿ya te diste cuenta que el gato no tiene 5 patas? He asked, inquiring if I had finally come to realize that a cat does not have 5 feet. I couldn't take it one more time. This damn cat idiom never made any sense to me, but I knew shouting wasn't going to get me anywhere, so I softly said, Look, Daddy, I've never understood why you say this to me every time I do something wrong or I do something you don't approve of. I know cats don't have 5 feet. I've never seen a cat with 5 feet, and I hate cats. By the end of my sentence, I had tears streaming down my face. I spoke to him in English, a forbidden language in his home, because my brain would automatically code switch to English when I was in fight or flight or even freeze mode. That day I was ready to fight, and I was ready to fly. My daddy stood up and began to walk towards the sink to wash his hands. He had been kneading the masa for tamales they were going to prepare for Thanksgiving weekend. The sound of the water soothed me and prepared me for the most important lesson my daddy ever taught me. He made a motion for me to follow him into the backyard. We ended our silent walk at the bench next to the lemon tree. He picked up a lemon from the ground that had fallen from his beloved tree. He began to squeeze it lightly, almost in the way one would squeeze a stress ball you'd find in every corporate cubicle across the U.S. He then dove into his explanation. You are the most like me when I was a child, he started. Of my 5 children, you are the only dreamer like me. You see the good in everything, and that blinds you from protecting yourself from the bad. But that's not a bad thing, Daddy, and it has nothing to do with the cat, I replied, pleading with the tone of my voice for him to get to the important stuff. Oh, aha, on the cat. He chuckled, placing the lemon in my hands as though he was telling me to stress less. I know the cats only have 4 feet. You also know this because we have cats and you see them in movies and cartoons. When you see a cat moving quickly by, they can sometimes appear to have 5 feet. You will continue to believe that the cat has 5 feet until you take a more critical look and understand that you were actually counting the tail as one of its legs. Suddenly, the 5-footed cat you believe to be special and rare, and yours is not so special and rare as you watch it run off on its 4 feet. You need to be more patient and make sure that what you are seeing is what is real and not something you are making up to make the cat seem more special. Alexander was never a cat with 5 feet. This conversation with my daddy happened 14 years ago. He went on to live another 11 years before I admitted to him that I understood the concept of the cat with 5 feet. The night before his death, I hugged him in the hospital bed one final time. I bent over him and whispered into his ear that begging him to stay alive was like looking for a cat with 5 feet. And I knew that he was tired, and I told him I accepted defeat. You won, Daddy. Cats only ever have 4 feet, and I clearly see the tail.